My Lord, thank you all for being on the call this morning. Hey, don't forget tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. we have our happy hour. Our happy hour tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. Our happy hour, Al's happy hour, Ask Al happy hour tonight at 6 o'clock. Food, just coffee. Hey, listen, we got a great call lined up. It's too early on Friday. I know it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Hey, we want to thank everybody on the call today. I just want to give a shout out. Miss Duffy, thank you so much. Miss Robinson, thank you so much. Miss Pat Robinson, thank you so much, out of Oakland, California. Miss Dahlia, thank you so much. Carol Baker, thank you so much. I'd like to thank Miss Angelina, thank you so much. Mr. Daryl Ranson up in Nashville. Miss Dominique Young, our school teacher up in Nashville. Joyce Brewer, good seeing you back. Miss Castro, thank you so much. We have Mr. Edward Smith, thank you so much. And we have, dignitaries. Oh my God, we got Regional Director, Mr. Brian Baker. Salute you, sir. Regional Director, Miss Natasha Ismail. Wow. And up the ladder we go. Oh my God. We have Miss Jocelyn Driscoll, Regional Director from Southern California. Wow, wow, wow. And we also have our special guest speaker, Miss Keri Roeder from Sacramento area, also a Regional Vice President. Thank you so much. And I thank Mr. Chris King and Ms. Roseborough, Regional Directors from Fresno, just joined us. So I wanted to kind of go up the ladder from the RDs all the way up to the RVPs today. We got a great call lined up, and I'm excited about today's call, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, she came in last Friday. She just blew us up and took a lot of great notes. And you know what? Taking into consideration what she had to say, she was trying to give us a way of how to present ourselves professionally on a Zoom call and not look like who did it. So I really thank her for that session last week. I took a lot of notes. Oh, I don't see it. I took a lot of notes. I want to thank her, and I actually come back for part 2. And she also brought Miss Jocelyn Driscoll. What a treat. And I know these ladies are probably with us tonight at 6 o'clock at happy hour, because I know they have another situation to go to, but they're going to probably try to join us. We usually hour and a half sometimes, depending upon. Well, let me get to it. Without further ado, we are so excited. And we're so excited to have this young lady come back. Miss Keri Roeder hails from Sacramento area. Her husband is in the contracting. He's my dear buddy. Very personal people, and I go up to Sacramento to do a presentation with them, and I have a little group, and they dovetail them with them, but she is just such a great leader, and I want to thank you all. And before, I'm going to let Miss Keri Roeder maybe have Miss Jocelyn, I don't know, I'm going to give it to you, young lady, let you just run with it. So without further ado, the wonderful, the dynamic Regional Vice President from Sacramento, California, Miss Keri Roeder. Can we give her a hand? Yay!
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. How fun. What a wonderful surprise to have Mrs. Driscoll join us this morning. I'm so excited. It's interesting because I roll out of bed every day like 8:30 and whatever. This morning at 5 a.m. when my cat woke me up, I was like, oh, it's Friday. It's Friday morning. I am so excited. It's interesting. The 4th was my 10-year anniversary in ACN. And I remember, thank you. I remember years ago, I had asked Senior Vice President, Mr. Aaron Burt, a question, and he looked at me and he said, you know what, Keri, you want to be the person that other people ask to come and speak to their group. And that always stuck with me. And last week when Mr. Thomas actually asked me to join you all Friday, it was an honor and a privilege. I always get so nervous when I am in front of him just because of his magnitude of success. But Mr. Thomas, when you asked me to come back again this Friday morning, genuinely an honor. And one of the things I really want everybody to know, I know I spent last time a significant amount of time edifying Mr. Thomas, and that was on purpose and on point. I'm telling you right now, most of what I give you, I learned from him. So it's just funny how when we become to a level of success, remember I said you can't be a prophet in your own land. I'm telling you right now, this man is brilliant. I've been doing this for 10 years. Mrs. Driscoll's been doing this for 12, or just coming up on 12. What we glean and learn from Mr. Thomas is just beyond measure. So absolute privilege to be asked to be invited back again tonight or today. It's funny because I'm asked to be a part of, do a presentation for a whole nother leadership group. I'm actually scheduled for tonight, a group that's working together, Mr. Efren Trajada, Mr. Stephen Payton, the regional vice president group out of Chicago, and other leaders that are working together. So as you grow in the business and you're asked to be a part of other people's groups, you guys, stay humble and really realize that and I have a whole lot of thoughts that I've written down for today, that this is a business of duplication. And when you can maintain consistency, people will start to see your level of character and your level of success will follow that. And then you'll be asked to be a keynote person on calls like this. So thank you again, Mr. Thomas. I hope to relay what your wisdom has given me over the last 10 years accurately to our group here. So welcome, good morning. I'm so excited. It's fun seeing more and more people jump on. Before I go into my thoughts that I have, does anybody have any questions from anything that I talked about last week? If you do, just go ahead and type it in the chat group and then I can clarify anything. Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, first of all, let's do this. She told us last week about taking your picture down and putting your face up. So why we got half you guys, more than half of you got your picture up and not your face? She told you that last Friday. So take that down and let's see you. Because like she said, you need to be here, presence. That was one of the highlights I got on what she said. And it's so true. So let's take down that wall and let's see you and be part of it like she said last week. Have you not learned from last Friday when she said it? And now, there you go again, right back. Oh my God. So take them down, take them down, take them down. Thank you.
And here's the thing, this is not a BOM. This is not anything where any of that formality. So somebody commented last week, what about COVID hair? Yeah, we all have it. So, I mean, you could see my layers, gray, dark, light. So it doesn't matter how you look right now. It is easier for us to have a conversation in leadership to be able to see your reaction, to see when I say something, to see people go, oh yeah, or look down and take notes or whatever. Mr. Thomas? Are you trying to mute something?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you for that. And thank you for all who just turned on your cameras. Good morning, everybody. Okay, so one of the things that I thought about today is when this whole thing started happening, where we all went on lockdown, Mr. Thomas, Mrs. Driscoll, and your RDs and I are invited on to regional director and above leadership calls with the founders. I know you all know those exist, okay? One of the very first things that Mr. Provenzano said, Mr. P said, and he says it to us all the time, but very specifically he said, during this window of time, let's be the positive light. So when you engage with people, be the positive light while everybody else is being negative, while everybody else is and I forget his exact words, so I'll just speak from me now. I've always been that person. Any of you who know me personally have met me. Yes, I wake up this way. Yes, I go to bed this way. I've always been bubbly. I've always been excited because I've always recognized my blessings. So we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. I spend time every day. I talk to Mrs. Driscoll. Once a week, I talk to Mr. Thomas. I talk to the Kings once a week. I get to talk to Natasha on occasion. So if you find yourself not being the positive light when you're engaging with other people, then make sure you start to expose yourself to people who have that strong mindset, our ability to be positive. I'm not downplaying what's happening in the world today. For the first time in a long time, I watched the news. I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. Okay, I don't have my head buried in the sand. But at the same time, when I now leave to go to the grocery store today, if I'm doom and gloom, you attract who you are. Okay, so if we say attract positive people, attract successful people. I had an hour-long conversation with one of the most successful people in the state of California, one of the wealthiest people in the state of California the other day. And she is positive. She's not doom and gloom. They own hundreds of care homes, skilled facilities, and all that. She's positive. So when you want to attract people, we need to be the people we're looking to attract. And if you aren't showing up with positivity, then that's who you're attracting. If you are showing up with positivity, that's who you're attracting. Be the light, be the example for other people. And I'm not talking ACN. So I have 3 best friends from childhood. 3 of us have been friends since first grade, and the 4th one came along in junior high, and she and I lived together in college. So we get together once a month for dinner, And they're amazing. They're amazing women. However, one of them is particularly negative. Just that's her life. That's whatever. That her name is also Keri. That's just her life. Well, we're in a group chat and she was just being awful. And I wasn't participating. And I finally decided after days of listening to them, I wrote, listen, ladies. I said, my only complaint is that my daughter didn't get her permit. Therefore, she won't get her driver's license on her 16th birthday. And one of them, the other one wrote, another person wrote, wow, Keri, if that's your only complaint, you're very blessed. And I wrote back, matter of fact, I am very blessed. And yes, that is my only complaint. I recognize I have a different mindset than a lot of people. And then I went on. And a week later, they're still complaining. So I had enough. And I wrote, collective blessings. All our children are healthy. We all have a man who loves us and, adore us, respect us. We all have a roof over our head, food in our bellies, clothes on our back, and girlfriends that we can rely on. You see, it's what perspective are you going to look at this situation? What perspective? And I spending a few minutes today talking about your mindset and the positivity, because man, Mr. P, like, come on, if the man says something, this is what we should follow, right? I know Mr. Thomas and Mrs. Driscoll and I do. That's why we hit the upper positions. Okay, enough on that. Okay, income generating activities. That is my phrase. Anybody who's ever been to a training with me, you hear me say that every single time. Income generating activities. There's a huge difference between being busy and doing income generating activities. And right now, especially, I think it's just a really great window of time for you to really evaluate what you've been doing over these last 7, 8, I don't even know what weeks we're on, right? 7, 8 weeks of what we've been going through, right? Your activities, have they generated income, or at least had the potential to generate income, right? Or have they been busy work? What do we do to generate income? We acquire customers. I know for a fact, Mrs. Rose Guerrera just acquired a customer this week. One of your regional directors on the verge of regional vice president is still out there acquiring personal customers. That's leading by example. That's awesome. That is income generating activities. The other thing we do is we recruit. We invite people to see the opportunity and meet the people we're working with so they can decide if this is something they want to do for themselves or become your customer. Those are income generating activities. Anything outside of that is busy work. Busy work. So the other thing we do is we attend events. Why do we attend events? Why is that lumped into what we do when attending an event doesn't technically generate income, but in reality it can? And here's why. You need to learn how to do the business. You need to learn the steps of what we do, the strong mindset to have to do this. And that's where attending events comes in. I don't remember if I was telling this to you guys or another leadership call that I was on last week, but one of my IBOs had got distracted and she wasn't plugging in. And when she reached out to me and we jumped on the phone, she said, oh my God, Mrs. Roeder, I need to start plugging back into the nightly events because I can find myself pulling away. And it's so true. When we're not regularly plugged in, that tends to help us fall away from what it is our goals are. And I don't know about your house, but 24 hours in my house is like 4 days when it's a real world, right? It's a long window of time. And so these daily leadership calls that Mr. Thomas has put together, the Tuesdays and Thursdays and the Saturdays and Sundays, these are not designed to give him something to do. God knows he has plenty to do, right? He takes 8 vacations a year or whatever. There's plenty of things that he could be out doing. These are designed to help us build our businesses through income generating activities. So this is a business of duplication. And I really want to talk about the idea that when we're building a business of duplication, and please, this little part that I give right now, I'm not going to give you this training to de-edify anybody. I'm giving you this training based on 10 years of witnessing the top producing senior vice presidents in the company, one of which is Mr. Thomas, be so consistent in what they do, they're creating a business of duplication. So please don't after this little window of training and you go and you witness this for yourself, don't go, oh yeah, that's one of the ones she's talking about. No. Okay, I'm going to give you this so that you can become Mr. Thomas someday, okay, and a top producing senior vice president. Okay, the same presentation every single time. Get your presentation right, Mr. Thomas? Right? Here's the thing. Every time we fly Mr. Thomas in, or he flies himself in to Sacramento, I know word for word for word for word for word his presentation. Word for word for word for word his leadership, where he draws and talks about his billionaire mentors and all that. Why? Because he says the same thing every single time. So whatever your presentation is going to be, see, your business from you down is your business. So whatever presentation you're going to do it. Now, let me also give you some wisdom. Don't make anything up. This is the business where you get to steal, Mr. Thomas.
Can you repeat that again about reading it and just reading it and duplication? Please say that again one more time so to sink in.
I remember.
It's simple. Thank you.
I remember I had asked a few years ago, I had asked Mr. Thomas to come in and do a big event for us in Sacramento. And he calls me and he goes, hey, Keri? Yeah. He goes, Mrs. Roeder? Yeah. He goes, I got to tell you something. Oh my God, what? He goes, I'm going to bring in Mr. Provenzano with me. I was like, what? Remember that, Mr. Thomas? So we had to scramble to find a place big enough. And I was like, oh my God, this is so great. And so I opened up the event. I introduced Mr. Thomas and he goes, I'm going to do something here. Points to the screen. He goes, I'm going to read this. And that's all he did. He just read it. And I was thinking, how simple is that? The president of our company is here. One of the most successful senior vice presidents is simply pointing to the slide and reading it. So whatever presentation you're going to do, get it dialed in and then do it. The whole purpose is so that you're not the one out there doing all of the work, okay? There's another top producing senior vice president. We're at a Friday night leadership, and there were two senior vice presidents there, and I'm not going to tell you names, but there were two senior vice presidents there. A female was always the big deal. She was always in the front, always in the front, always in the front. She made herself always the big deal. Well, this other senior vice president is actually like toggles between 1, 2, and 3 every year as the top producer. And he said, listen, she outworks me, I out-earn her. See, he wasn't the one out there in the front. He created a system and he taught it to enough people that they were out doing his same exact presentation and leadership training. And so therefore he was building a true international business that presentations are happening in his organization throughout the country and throughout the world that he wasn't present at, but they were his presentation, if that makes any sense. So here's the thing. The presentation isn't for you. The presentation isn't for the seasoned IBOs. The presentation are for the guests. They're for the guests. So when you say, for those of you who don't know me, my goodness, you should hope that 1/3 of the people on the webinar don't know you because they should be guests, right? They should be guests. Your presentation's for the guests. Your presentation's for the new IBOs learning how to do the presentation. So when you alter your presentation, people can't duplicate you. Here's where I see people change their presentation. I think they get bored. I think they get bored with the it's like, whoa, get it. So last night, I had some music going. I was doing something around my house and music was playing and I'm singing, and I don't sing well, I know it, but I'm singing out loud and my husband comes home and I was like, oh, put my earbuds in, right? So put my earbuds in and they're playing some Michael Jackson and I am getting my groove on. And then, it just rolled into some really good music that I grew up with. And I realized I was bellowing out loud. But here's the thing. These songs that I was singing from the 70s and 80s, once they were recorded, they never altered them. So I could sing along. 30, 40 years later, I'm singing songs that I grew up with, that people are dead, that made a profit off of me last night. So create your song, create your ACN presentation song. Mr. Kupitz says to make sure our presentations, the introduction, the video, the presentation, and testimonials are done in under 20 minutes. Under 20 minutes. Beyond that, you're talking too much and you've lost their attention. You've absolutely lost their attention. Telling you guys, if you haven't had any ability to spend time with any of the Kupitzes, you need to. You need to grab a hold of those men. They're so funny. Most of you know it was their birthday yesterday, right? My husband and I have been able to spend super great quality time with Tony, Mr. Tony Kupitz. And, you know, watching him and I bantering back and forth about my husband and him and their crazy relationship, and then Brad telling me about their funny texting conversation. It's moments like those where you can actually share a cocktail or share a meal with a founder and get their insight. A lot of my training, things that I do, comes directly from the founders of ACN. One of which is, we had Mr. Tony Kupitz out for a big event, Mrs. Driscoll, Mr. Seaver, myself, a bunch of Mr. and Mrs. King were there, a bunch of top producing regional directors. I had the charge of doing customer acquisition. And when I got off stage that night, Brad, myself, Tony, Scott and Renee Wagner went out to dinner, and several cocktails later, Tony says, "Hey, Keri," I said, "give me feedback." He's like, "Okay, here's your feedback." He said, "Here's the deal. When you get to the part where you talk about people becoming their own customers, don't tell somebody to become their own customer, because when they become their own customer and it doesn't work out, then they're going to be mad at you." He said, "Do this." So if you've ever seen me do customer acquisition, this is where this directly comes from. I click the side and it says customer sources yourself. And I say, "Listen, I know all of you," okay, you know, Tony talks with his hands, right? So I'm Tony now, right? All of you, you saw all of those points and you want to run out and get every single service possible. Don't do that. Pause. Don't do that. Only get the services that make sense for you and your family and your home at this time. Now, for me, blah, 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 blah. I learned that after a couple sake bombs in a sushi restaurant from Mr. Tony Kupitz. But I tell you what, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's what I do. And the next time he saw me do it, he's like, "That's perfect, Keri. I have no further training for you on that part of the customer acquisition." So, business of duplication. A founder told me to say something very specifically, pausing it all, the drama of it all. So I channeled Tony Kupitz during that window of section. Mr. Kupitz gave us a training on how to present ACN right now over these webinars. I audio recorded it and I played rewind, played rewind, played rewind, played rewind, played rewind till I got it down to exactly the points in which he wanted us to say, because he's a founder of ACN. If Mr. Thomas is telling you very specifically how to do a presentation, that's the presentation to do, because we're trying to create a business of duplication. Now, I want to talk to you about confidence for a second. Okay. Y'all remember this? Aha. We're going to go old school ACN. Okay. Confidence. When I first got started in ACN, I started off like all of you, no customers, right? I had to get customer qualified, and then I had to get promoted to executive team leader, on my way to regional director. At the time, it was called team coordinator. But I would, two things here. To create a business of duplication, I would take what I call my baby blanket. I should have grabbed those, sorry. I created a baby blanket, and in each box, I would write a word to remind me what I was trying to focus on in that thing. And I would hold my baby blanket with it facing me. And eventually I got so good at saying the presentation the way I wanted it said, eventually I got to put down my baby blanket, hold up a real overview, and do what Mr. Thomas does when he has the paper ones and point. Go into box 2, go into box 3, right? And just read from it. Here's the other thing. When you get down to these positions, right? When I first got started, I would stand in living rooms as an executive team leader, or an executive team trainer even, and I would point to those upper positions and I would speak with confidence. And when I would be done, people are like, are you already a senior vice president? Oh God, no, I'm like 3 months into the company. I'm like moving my way to regional director. Are you kidding? But because of the way that I spoke, people thought I had already arrived. See, my first mentor in this business, Mrs. Renee Wagner, you need to meet this woman. She's brilliant, okay? She told me, be, do, have. Be the senior vice president. Do the work it takes, and you will have what it is you're looking for. So I realize most people don't show up with the level of confidence that I show up with. I recognize that. I'm an oddity in so many capacities, and I recognize that. I appreciate that. I have 2 loving, amazing, supportive parents. My daddy, yes, I just turned 47 years old, and I will call him my daddy. My daddy told me I can do anything I want. He put me on a pedestal. I've done my work to rise to that expectation. But the level of confidence I have in myself, I recognize is not, most people don't show up this way. So the personal development to show up with confidence is uber important. So I always offer people, if you're lacking confidence, borrow mine, take some of mine. I've got plenty, and I hope I don't come off as like in an egotistical fashion of my confidence. I just know who I am. I know who I am. In my 20s, when women were intimidated by me and tried to tear me down and made me question, wait, what am I doing wrong? I'm just being me. In my 30s, when I started to gain some strength, with the support of my husband, saying, hey, you're just amazing, don't worry about it. Now in my 40s, now that I'm finishing the decade of my 40s, I'm like, listen, your lack of self-confidence is not going to be a reflection on me. I know who I am. And I'm attracting people like Natasha. I'm attracting people like Mrs. Rose Guerrera. I'm attracting people like Mrs. Driscoll into my life. And if I'm not for you, that's okay. I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to accommodate you and change who I am because you lack self-confidence, and I am making that aware in your head. I employ all of you to find that inner person, to find that inner strength, and to present yourself in that capacity so that you attract the people we're looking to attract. We're not looking to attract the people who don't want to do this with us. That's totally cool. So the last couple of things, and then because we're at our 30 minutes, anyway, so hopefully that helps. But okay, so testimonials. Oh my goodness, you guys, testimonials are so key to what it is we're doing right now. You'll have Mr. Thomas, Mrs. Driscoll, one of your top producing regional directors, do a presentation, but testimonials are so key. People need to hear somebody else's story. If you look at the screen right now, the people who we do have on, hey Brian, we have different ages. We have different ethnicities. We have different genders. We have different backgrounds. People need to hear those stories. They need to hear somebody other than the main presenter. And then let me give you a tip. When you're asked to do a testimonial, please prepare. Please prepare. Don't be wondering. There's a reason why you're asked to do a testimonial. So be concise, be timely, be impactful, because have a purpose in what your testimonial is about. And then here's a golden nugget for you. When you're asked to do a testimonial and Mr. Thomas is on the line, or one of the top producing regional directors, that becomes natural edification for you. So when you're hosting a PBR webinar, or you are the host, the presenter at a PBR webinar, and somebody's edifying you, they now get to add to your edification. This person has been recognized, asked to speak on a webinar in front of X number of people. So if you have 50 people on, 50 people, 100 people, over 100 people, like that becomes a part of your edification. People follow people who know where they're going. When you're edified in that capacity, you'll gain your confidence, and then you'll speak confidently, then people will follow you because you know where you're going. Edification is a big part of that. And when you're asked to give a testimonial, That's a part of the edification. So Mr. King last Friday, Mrs. Driscoll asked him to do a testimonial on a webinar that we do. There was almost 100 people on there. So if you're introducing Mr. King, you would say that. As an executive team leader on this line, when you're asked to do a testimonial, now you teach your team, the people introducing you, to use that in your testimonial. Your leadership will use that in your testimonial. Listen, this executive team leader is so qualified to build this business. They're an up and coming. They're so successful. I asked them to do a testimonial on a bigger event. There was 100 people on this event, and this executive team leader that I'm about to introduce you to had an opportunity to speak on this webinar in front of 100 people. Wow, right? The guests are going to go, whoa, I better listen. I better listen to this person, because that's the point of edification. The point of edification is to create the value for the person speaking so that people are excited and want to listen to what it is they have to say. So last Friday morning, I spent about 6 minutes edifying Mr. Thomas. Again, that was on purpose and on point. Because I want everybody to get off of the webinar and listen to Mr. Thomas in a different light. So I needed to edify him to the nth degree, which is all true and valid, so that he would have value and credibility and everybody would listen to him differently. The last thing I'll end with this, and then I want to see if Mr. Driscoll is available to say something real quick. Personal PBRs, nothing has changed. I said this last week, nothing has, Perla, you're so cute. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We're just doing it via webinar. Hold yourself accountable to recruit and invite people onto your own personal webinar, PBR, PBZ, PBW, whatever you want to call it, right? Because fear of loss, you can speak directly to your guests. Listen, I'm going to come out of this coronavirus or whatever you want to say. I'm going to come out of this massively successful. Hear me clearly. If and when something like this ever happens again, I'm going to be in a financial situation with residual income through ACN that I will be able to continue to feed my family and pay my mortgage. So I'm glad all of you joined me today, because you've now met the people I'm working with. You've now seen the business that I'm a part of. And now I'm giving you an opportunity to work with me. If you don't, fine, please support me, become my customer. But if you do, let me tell you this, I'm gonna lock arms with you. And you and I, we're gonna work directly together with Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, whoever your direct leadership is with. And we're gonna build this business. And in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're gonna be sitting at the senior vice president position in a different situation than we are today. I want to know from every single one of my friends on this webinar today, who's in with me? See, you can't do that if you can't do that if you're inviting them into a BOM webinar, because you're not speaking. Some BOM webinars, we can't even see other people, our guests' faces. So I implore you to hold yourself responsible. Oh, okay, sorry, Mrs. Driscoll. To hold yourself responsible. Sorry, honey. Okay. I hold you responsible to hold your own private business webinar. Get all of those, speak confidently, right? You're going to have a chance to speak after you introduce your person doing the presentation. They're going to give you at the end a chance to speak. Speak like I just did. People will follow you. They'll become your guests, and then invite everybody on to your evening or to the daytime presentations done by the founders, and onto the evening ones or the weekend ones. So, sorry, honey. Okay, I think Mrs. Driscoll's not available. Are you available, Mrs. Driscoll? No? Okay. Okay, so hopefully, hopefully that helps. I appreciate everybody's time. I do value your time. I value that you got up this morning. Love you too, Natasha. I got that you got up this morning. Hopefully I gave somebody something that you will take forward and be able to do income generating activities. And when we can get all together again and we can receive you at the bottom of the international training stage in recognition for your success, I will be there cheering you on loudly and just super proud to be a part of your life. So I'm going to turn the webinar back to our incredible, fantabulous, oh my gosh, goodness, amazing, uber galactic, successful SVP, my mentor and my friend, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, dear. You're amazing. I love the income generating opportunity. You know, you got to be the positive in the time of need. And the most important thing I hope people walk away with is just read the boxes. Oh, it's simple as it sounds. It's so hard for people to just read without interjecting a whole bunch of stuff. No, just read it. Just read it. And I like to set up your own PVZ. Hey, folks, we want to thank Miss, can we show her some love? Can we show Miss Roeder some love? We're going to get her back here in weeks to come. We're going to get her back. We're going to get her back. Trust me. I'm going to call her. We're going to set some more times up when we get done. But tonight at 6 o'clock, maybe Miss Roeder, I know she's got a previous engagement. Come on back and have happy hour with us at 6 o'clock. Happy hour right here. It's called Al's Happy Hour. We're going to have some fun tonight and bring your libation back, your cocktail, your drink, whatever you want to bring with you. You know, come on back at 6 o'clock. Now, remember the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 1 o'clock Saturday and Sunday, 3 o'clock Saturday and Sunday, and 6 o'clock on Saturday. I'm going to be doing leadership at 6 o'clock on Saturday and 6 o'clock on Sunday, a product training with Mr. Bree Clemens. So we got a great lineup over the weekend to help you going because the co-founders have meetings all day today, every 2 hours. So here again, 6 o'clock, it's Friday somewhere. Yes. We have happy hour. We give each other a air hug, and we're gonna have fun. We got a lot. I got everything laid out for tonight. I hope you guys are excited about that. We look forward to seeing everybody tonight at 6 o'clock. And without further ado, can we give Miss Roeder one more hand? We love you, dear. You're amazing. I got a lot of notes out of that, and I hope people take to heart what you have to go say. So everybody have a blessed day. Be safe out there. God bless you. Continue doing income generating opportunities. Customers are an IBO. Matter of fact, I got a customer yesterday. God bless. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.